Finance Committee, and that'll be Mr. Sarnes.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Yarnell. No one signed up for public comment. Is there anybody who wants to speak first before we start? Okay, then we'll get started. First item on the agenda, we have some guests from First Savings Insurance. I'll let Mrs. Johnson introduce them and we'll get started.
Mr. Bowen and Ms. Meister, if you'd like to come up. First Savings is our broker of record for several of our insurance programs, and they're here tonight to provide an update on our rates for the 15-16 school year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for having us and good evening. They need that one as well? Okay. So the document that you have in front of you demonstrates the expiring premiums in the left-hand column and the proposed premiums for the renewal period of 7/1/15 to 16. Just start. Yeah, we'll just go through these line by line.
Oh, okay. The property without the TRIA, the expiring and the proposed, it does include the increase in property values based on the latest American appraisal that PSBA offers for no fee. Also, that does include the $2,500 deductible and boiler machinery crime liability. That's all part of the package program. The auto and physical damage, and there is an option. On the automobile, you currently have a $500 comprehensive and a $1,000 collision. There's a savings of approximately $1,600 if you would want to take your comprehensive deductible up to $1,000. The majority of your claims are usually collision claims. Comprehensive, I'm not sure if you all understand what that is. It's the same as on a personal policy. It's fire, theft, vandalism, collision with a deer type of animal. And also, we may want to review some of the autos because some of them are older. I don't know if you want to keep the comp and collision on some of the older. Most of them, I think, are maintenance. There may be a few buses, smaller buses.
You can see the change of premium reflected in the far right-hand column. The reason for the almost 11% increase on the property is based on the most recent appraisal by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. That is based on $36 million in blanket values. The boiler and machinery coverage relates to anything electronic that is here in all of the school district buildings. So that would include computer coverage and the actual boiler and machinery and the heating devices. The crime coverage last year, with the program being switched within the PSBA to AIG and Munich, there actually is a charge for crime this year. The overall annual increases that PSBA is getting, they insure 83% of the 600 public school districts in the state of Pennsylvania. They're getting a 6 to a 10% overall rate increase. With Pennridge's profitability, the overall increase is 4.2%.
The workers' comp payroll increased from $59,326,762 to $59,596,149. The rate did go up a little bit. The experience mod also went up due to the losses. And that's on the third page there.
Yes.
You see how that's broken out. The losses this year were $78,000, 521. And the ALAE, which is the allocated loss expense, is loss adjustment expenses that are assignable or allocable to specific claims. So the $78,521 would represent your medical bills and your indemnity payments. And then the $256,382 is your outside attorneys, your experts' investigations, the type of things that they have to do to, pay the claims.
Reserve.
Reserve.
Reserve, please.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing to point out, which PSBA has, is the excess umbrella policy this year. They're providing separate limit towers on the excess that follows the underlining, meaning you have a $5 million limit for each line of business in lieu of a $5 million total for just everything.
This is quite a remarkable enhancement for the program. So, just looking at anything that involves liability within the coverages here, which would be the automobile, the general liability, the school leaders legal, the workers' compensation, anything that involves liability, if a claim erodes the underlying limit or eliminates it, you have a separate $5 million tower for each liability policy. So it's quite an enhancement. This was not on last year's coverage. And as far as the privacy and protection goes, currently there's a $1 million limit of liability. This is a data breach coverage. There's no indemnification when it comes to data breach. So what they have, what ACE offers in that coverage is public relations, notification of the affected parties. And it's just the overall management of the cyber liability or the data breach claim.
And PSBA still continues to offer the free appraisals, which we had also heard that some of the other competitors are not offering that, which is a savings of, I think it was about $18,000 due to the size of the number of schools that we have.
Right.
They also offer the elevator inspections, crisis counseling, and first call triage if there's a claim for your school leaders. And, I believe the claims have been settled satisfactorily as far as I know. They use School Claim Service, which is a division of the PSBA. They're out of the Harrisburg office, and we report them direct to them, and then they settle them pretty quickly. So
I just wanted to address a letter that I had sent to Kathy on May 8th.
Excuse me, sir, could you talk into the microphone so we can all hear?
Certainly.
Thank you.
I wanted to address the letter that I sent to Kathy on May 8th. I went and investigated several carriers. EMC, Liberty Mutual are two competing carriers. With the size of a district such as Pennridge, 7 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 1 high school, student population, this program is by far the best program out in the marketplace today. The offering that PSBA provides from triage should a school leader claim come to light, all of the appraisal service, the risk management. East Coast Risk Management is a company that we've worked with personally for several years, and they're just an excellent provider. Can I take any questions?
Fast question on the appraised value, the 36 million appraised value. What was the previous appraised value? Did it go up?
269 million.
Excuse me. So it's
Right.
I guess I misread.
That's the building. Okay.
It's the building. It's a blanket building and contents.
What did I guess I misunderstood.
I did. I stated 36 million
Yeah.
on the buildings earlier. So it was 269 million. It's now 305.
So 269 to 305?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think the increase was
What was the 36?
Right.
That's the increase
Oh,
in that value.
And then jumping down to the workers' compensation,
It's 59.
there was a 10 million increase in annual
No,
pay.
it's 59.3, it's 200. I got those figures from Jackie. And I assume you, I'm not sure if you know how workers' comp policies are. Last year's policy was written at $59,326,762. At the end of the policy term, they audit the policy to see what the actual payroll was for the term, additional return premium. And I did contact Jackie, and Kathy provided me with this year's figure to go in with it, $59,596,149.
And of course, if there's any reduction downwards, that also comes back to us. So at the end of each claim year, they adjust the premiums up or down. We either pay in or we get some money
Yep,
back.
depending what your payroll is, yes.
Right, yeah, there always is an audit correction.
It was Debbie or Mr. Bowen, in previous years, we had that buy up, buy down of our.
That, they no longer have that. It's actually built into the premium for the property and liability and that.
And what was that deductible? I'm sorry.
It used to be,
What is it now?
it's $2,500 now, which
$2,500, okay.
the PSBA program had always written it with a $25,000 deductible. Then they offered you a buyback to buy it down to $2,500, which was usually in the area of like $32,000, something like that, to buy that back. Now, I don't know if you feel comfortable if you want an optional quote for something higher, or I don't know. That's,
I mean, typically we've gone to the 2,500, so I'm not sure we want to do
You know,
anything other than.
and
anything higher than 2,500.
you know, the property claims you've had over the years have been very, they have been minimal. I don't think we've had any this year.
It's been impressive.
Yeah.
Can I ask you who the underwriters are? The underwriters?
Certainly, yes. The underwriting carrier is AIG, American International Group, and it is backed by Munich and Munich Reinsurance.
So there's only one?
It will be AIG paper, and then
It's
ACES.
AIG with underneath
Yes.
their individual carriers.
That's the
Say that
primary
again.
insurer.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
It's AIG is the group, and then they have
Karen.
carriers underneath them, yes, that and Munich. And they are both A-rated companies with the AM Best rating service.
I have a question on the note there at the bottom of the page regarding the sports and voluntary accident policy. So that is not included in these totals that we see here
No,
as of right
no,
now?
that comes up at a later date, and we don't usually get that quote until around mid-June or closer to the end of June, so. As soon as I have it, I will let you know. It usually runs about the 19,000,
That is in August 1st.
August 11th.
So that 19,000 is last year's
Yeah,
amount?
yeah, and I think the year before it was kind of close to that,
Okay.
so it usually runs in that area.
Just a couple of coverage enhancements I'd like to mention. Last year, the flood coverage limit was $1 million. It's now enhanced to $3 million. So that's quite an impressive improvement. And last year, the earthquake coverage was $3 million. It's now $100 million. So should a catastrophe occur. We did have earth movement a few years ago, so.
Any other questions?
Isn't $2,500 a low deductible?
What is your experience with that?
That's a great point. It's low for a district of this size, but it certainly falls within the budgetary constraints. We take your direction there. We can certainly offer alternate quotes going from 2,500 to 25,000 and present the potential savings.
Or in between,
Or in
10,
whatever,
5,
yeah.
10, whatever you would feel.
Would anyone else be interested in seeing that, or?
If our experience has been that's really, that we have not had any significant issues, then I think that we should look at possible opportunities to save some money.
I think 11% increase.
Yeah, I don't really, laptops were stolen or something, I think was the biggest thing. I don't think, We have a roof claim on one of the schools some years ago, maybe, I don't know, but nothing really, so, you know. If you want that, you can let us know what you can get that for you.
Well, yes.
Debbie, on that, is there a maximum, so we have multiple claims and we had, you know, the higher deductible. Is there a maximum to the amount of deductibles that we're gonna pay? If we have 4 claims, are we gonna spend that time, 4 times
Yes.
that? So
You would.
instead of being $2,500 times 4, it could end up being 10,000 times 4.
Right.
So I would just need to think about what I need to put aside for additional deductibles in the, I mean, that's something we should budget for if we're gonna have higher deductibles. I should be, you know, I either pay claims, I either pay an insurance agent for that, or we kind of self-insure and put a line budget in the item to cover higher deductibles. Or it comes right out of fund balance. That's just something we have to think about.
The district has been reasonably comfortable with, self-insuring certain issues, and I think it's appropriate if the probabilities are in our favor, that we should consider it. That money, if you don't spend it, is ours again for next year. And if it's gone, it's gone. You know, if you pay it to a broker, it's just plain gone.
It's a great point. We'll look at it both ways.
And maybe give us a breakdown across, you know.
Sure, we can do that, no problem.
Are there any other areas where you had mentioned the increase in collision under auto, or is there any other areas you see could have potential savings that you could suggest to us?
Probably, not really.
Yeah, that's something we've been talking to
Yeah.
PSBA about over
Yeah.
the past couple months. You know, I do think $1,000 deductible per bus. I mean, we could present alternatives there as well, $2,500 and $5,000 deductibles on the fleet. What you've had is just physical damage claims, so that's great.
You've had it mostly. Yeah,
There's
physical damage
been no
claims.
liability there either. I think you're at a very good limit level on the umbrella at $5 million, given the fact that the general liability is a $1 million occurrence and a $3 million general aggregate. So that would have to be exhausted, $1 million claims for the umbrella to get cut into. And again, you have the separate limit towers there. So that's the most prudent and efficient coverage for that. So what I suggest is we'll go with the property and the fleet and look for more savings in those areas.
I mean, we can look for the savings on the collision, but then again, the way Kathy was pointing it out, as, you know, a lot of your claims are collision claims that are some of the district's fault. So, you know, if you go to a $2,500, every time you have a claim, you're going to paying $2,500, and I'm not sure with that size fleet, we can find out what the premium savings is, but I don't know if that would be, you know.
Well, you had mentioned we have some older vehicles that
Yeah.
are not necessarily buses.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
So does it make sense to increase in an area such as that?
We could do it on those, yeah, we could kind of pick and choose.
Typically, the rule of thumb, if you have a vehicle that is 10 years of age or older, typically collision coverage is either knocked off and you just worry about theft, vandalism, and malicious mischief. So it just, I mean, we could go through each of those one by one and make some individual suggestions.
On the liability insurance, why is that going up 15%?
Well, that's where PSBA is seeing all the claims. That's the area. They looked at the state, again, 83% of 600 public school districts, and they took increases between 6 and 10% on all of those. And that's unfortunately just an area where defense is involved first, and then ultimately judgment, you know, after that. So that's just kind of a sign of the times.
What kind of liability claims are people, are these districts being hit with? Is it, injury or?
I traditionally premises liability claims. I think it could be anywhere from assault, fights, injuries on the premises, township residents using the fields and the premises and so forth. But I could get you some of those examples.
And also, I know we've had a couple of them where organizations have come onto the premises and, you know, someone has fallen or something and used the premises and, you know, they do pay medical claims. They do pay those.
Don't we ask them for a hold harmless when they come on the property?
Well, the way the hold harmless with the additional insured is if I'm walking down your sidewalk and, you know, the sidewalk may be up or there may be an area that is kind of rough or something like that, the school district is liable for that because that is a condition that existed before those people came onto the premises. So by getting your additional insured, you're picking up more like you have somebody coming in and setting up things and they trip and fall over the cords or over something somebody else uses. But any type of condition that exists on your premises when those people come on that's already there, you're responsible for it. You know, because I didn't make that, you know, so the additional insured is picking up if they would, you know, if they would kind of damage something and then they would sue, like I say, if there was something equipment or somehow they tripped over something caused by those people that are using the premises, then it would come under that insurance for those people. And I know we did have one where, you know, it's unfortunate with the way our society is. We did have a lady, I think, that fell off a curb. I don't know if there was anything really kind of wrong with it. And normally, your coverages for those things come under the medical payments, unless it would be serious and, you know, they would come back. But the medical payments also falls under general liability, so that, you know, creates some claims on there. And usually when they pay the medical payments, it's usually any medical payments, like you have health insurance or if it's an elderly person, you know, they pay anything that is not paid by your regular health insurance carriers. That's what
I have a question. I'd like you to explain this to me. I'm having trouble understanding. The value of our properties went up 36 million in 1 year? How does that happen?
Well, that is based on material costs.
Of what?
Again, of the actual materials to replace in like, kind, and quality. So this is a blanket building and business personal property coverage form. It is replacement cost. So this building would be built exactly as we see here today, obviously brand new and enhanced. The room would be the same size, the materials would be used. So it's essentially just the economic conditions that are pushing the cost of materials up that goes along with the valuation of.
In 1 year?
In 1 year.
What was it last year?
I do not have that information with me, but we could certainly let you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see a comparison, like maybe the last 5 years.
We
to
could
see
give you
how this
5,
has changed.
sure, absolutely.
Okay, that just sounds like, that sounds excessive, but.
Yeah.
And this came from PSBA? you said?
This came from TSBA's vendor, which is American Appraisal Service.
American Appraisal.
Yes. Yeah. Another very important coverage that is in the general liability is bodily injury and property damage, personal injury, along with multimedia liability and physical sexual abuse. So these are all lumped in to address the fact of the general liability rate increase. All of those areas of coverage participate under that general liability limit and that premium.
Are there any other questions? So I guess, Kathy, we would have to approve this at the June 22nd board meeting.
Right, so,
So we're going to have to,
that's correct. We would need to approve the rates at the June 22nd meeting, so
Right.
I guess we need to have some sort of direction from the board as to what limits what limits do we want them to come back with as far as any higher deductibles?
well, it sounds like you want to consider on the property, right, the higher deductible, possibly getting a quote.
What is your
else?
experience, Kathy? What would you gut feel, I mean, based on our claims experience, or what kind of damages we have incurred?
Well, for the property, we've hardly had any.
Yeah.
So I'd say, 5,000, no problem. Maybe you want to go to 10, a 10,
Okay,
give us
5
5
and
or
10.
10. Can you give us 5 and 10? I think that would give us and if you get that to us, and I can circulate that out before the June 22nd.
Oh,
Oh,
certainly.
yeah.
Kathy, you'll have it by the end of the
Oh,
week,
sure.
all the changes.
Right, and then maybe if we can maybe meet Thursday or maybe sometime, you and I, let's look at the auto, because I'd like to go over those auto claims.
Okay.
So we can actually see what auto claims we're talking about, the dollar value, because without seeing that, to just take a guess at what's an appropriate, all of a sudden I could be having a very high deductible and I'm gonna get no value.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a collision deductible, I don't think I would go higher than 2,500, and I'm not sure that you'd want to do that, like I say, we should
So
probably.
if you
kind
could
of
give
look
us
at
some history of the claims
Sure,
for.
get those claims, yeah.
I guess the auto and the auto physical damage, they're two different.
Correct. The components of the policy are liability and then physical damage, comp and collision.
So if you could give me a sense of, for a couple of years, how much we paid out of each one of, what were our claims for each one of them?
Oh,
Then I think
sure.
we can come up with a logical deductible.
Sure.
Yeah, I would assume you can't do anything right with the workers' comp. I mean, that's obviously the
No,
biggest
that's
one.
kind of cut in stone.
So I would say, yes, they're the other two areas that probably are worth looking into. So Kathy, I guess if you get that and then let us know and give us a recommendation. If we need to discuss it anymore, we'll just have to do it before the vote on that night, so.
Well, there is potentially a special board meeting on the 15th,
Oh, okay.
so that's a possibility.
And we will certainly press, Bill, the situation on the comp. Scheduled credits are available. The cooperation from the 1 year that PSBA's written the workers' compensation, they're very high on that. So we've asked them to go to the mat. I can still press between now and the end of this week to see if I can make up some more savings on the comp premium.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Sarnes, also with the appointment of the new business administrator, can you come back? I think we should have also a meeting.
Well,
Actually, as part of the new business administrator's transition plan that's in place, they will be meeting with the business administrator. I mean, I'll be setting that up.
Yeah, I think we're kind of running out of time. Obviously, the renewal is July 1st, so we don't have much time, so. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yes. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move on to the contracts. There's a lot of contracts, but I think we can move through these quickly. Unless anybody has any questions, I'd like to just, A and B are just for the middle schools theatrical productions. Anybody have any questions on those? Okay, and then C, D, E, F, G are for extended school years for students. They're pretty standard. H, the memorandum of understanding, I believe, is just using Grandview for an evacuation site for one of our schools. Once again, I, J, K are extended school years. L, Palace Center, that's for the high school senior prom for next year. Anyone have any questions on that one?
Hey, Joe, it doesn't say anywhere what the total cost is.
I don't think they know yet, do they?
No, the total cost won't be available until 180 days prior to the event. The total cost, because they won't know how many students and the pricing.
But there should be some sort of estimate. I would think when when there's a deposit that's being paid, we should know what the total cost is, and if we don't, there should be some sort of estimate.
No, there's not. I mean, Mr. Cox has looked at this. This is the same contract we've been using. Right, there's nothing in here for,
Yeah, I believe probably at the finance meeting not too long ago, we just approved the actual contract for this year's senior prom, if you remember.
in
So,
April.
Yeah.
April. This is going to depend on what menu they pick, and none of that's, you know, we're not there yet, so.
M is a yearbook agreement for North Middle School, and N is the high school senior portraits with Life Touch. Any questions on any of those? I guess the Life Touch one is a multi-year agreement, looks like.
Yes. Yes.
O, do you want to explain O, Kathy? I did talk to you about that one.
Yes, O is for the Nutrimon, I think that's how we would say that, Talent Ed recruiting and hiring. We currently use Talent Ed as a software program for the teachers' sort of evaluations. They also have a component for online recruitment and hiring process. This would take away from the paper process that we're currently using. There's other school districts in our area that are using Talent Ed. It's a totally online application. You submit your application online and all the other things that go with it, your criminal history background checks, your letters of reference, and anything else that the district would ask for. And it does not, if you don't have those things, it does not allow you to continue through that process. So it stops, it will help HR in not having so much of this paper, but it also allows the process to move forward in complete packets.
And then the last one, Student Services Agency. I assume that's probably a renewal.
No, actually, this is new. This is a replacement from a vendor that we had previously. This will be a new vendor that Dr. Phillips is requesting.
Okay. Any questions on any of this contract? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a settlement agreement. Any questions? Okay. Item 4, student activity accounts. We have 3 renewals: North Middle School Yearbook Club, Grass Elementary Green Grass Grabbers, and Grass Elementary Student Council, and then 1 new one for Grass Elementary Project Reach. Item 5, do you want to go through these bids, Kathy, or do we need to go through them?
I don't think we need to.
All right, I mean, they're all pretty standard bids that, the first is technology ed, metal shop supplies, wood shop supplies, lumber supplies, art supplies, music instruments, and printing services. Does anybody, they were all pretty detailed, but does anybody have any questions on any of them, or? Okay.
Just a fast question, Bill, on the musical instruments. Is this a
Can
function?
you use your mic back?
I'm sorry. On the musical instruments, is this a function of band growth as opposed to replacement? We have been, over the last few years, we've been replacing old instruments. And we're hearing the significant growth that the band is enjoying. Is that what this majority of these instruments are?
I'd have to get from Mrs. Schuler and from Mr. Drago, what's the breakdown between what a replacement, because there are definitely replacement items on here. New equipment coming out of the high school, I would have to check with Mr. Drago if that is, again, replacement or if it's new and expansion. So I can't answer that without some more detail.
I noticed that there was no, apparently they had a bid out for a piano, and there was no bid. What do we do then? How do we get?
We'll call around for quotes. We've done the process, and we'll call for quotes now on that.
I can't understand why would there not be a bid on a piano?
Again, with the bidding process, some vendors do not want to go through the bid bond and all that. And for one piano, it's probably, one piano on its own does not meet the bid limit. However, when you're bidding all the equipment, it does meet the bid limit. So we'll do the quotes for the one piano.
Okay, the last one was from the Bucks County IU for paper bid. I didn't even notice that. Oh, there it is. So who won that? I can't even, it's hard to tell from this.
Well, there's various vendors depending on what it is that you're getting. Linda Meyer Monroe was a vendor, Paper Mart,
Okay, now I see, WB Mason.
WB Mason.
All right.
So yes, those three were the awarded vendors.
Okay, item 6 is something I guess we do annually, and that's to approve the student tuition waivers. Did anybody have any questions on any of those?
These students are out of district, but they live out of district, but they're attending our district? Is that what it is?
I believe the majority of them have either, are kind of moving into the district and maybe they're not here on time because of, various reasons. A lot of them look like they enrolled in September, but they didn't establish residency till October, November. That's what most of them look like.
Do we bus them then when there's not?
No, they supply the room busing. A lot of times they're people that are building homes, or they bought a home and the home cannot be finished, or they can't inhabit it for whatever reason until later on in the school year.
So they provide their own?
They provide their own transportation.
Thanks.
But they're time limited, basically. Either they have to move in before November 1st, or they have to move out after April 1 to qualify for this. Or students who will be or are seniors qualify, no
Right.
matter when it is during
Right.
the year.
Thank you, Dr.
So that's the whole list. Yeah, Dr. Bavard could give you more of the bloody details, but that's the
That's fine.
Cliff Notes version of it.
We like Cliff Notes. Thank you.
Okay. The next item then is the Chronos Support Services request. Did you want to say anything about that, Kathy?
So Chronos is our timekeeping system. This is the system where folks are swiping their time cards to come in and out, and this is just a renewal of the contract.
Okay. Sorry, there's just every time you open it up, you have to go back. The next is the PSBA dues, and we were just talking about them. You want to go over those, Kathy?
Each year before I just pay this bill, I do come back to the board to let them know what it is, what the cost of this is, and this year it's $12,000.
Which one do we take?
There's two options.
We usually take, I do believe we take the full option. There's that.
15.
In the past, in the past, we have taken the all access, because again, we do get all those, access to the policy services, that's included in there as well. So yes, we do take the $15,000. Again, we try to make sure, I think everyone's looking at their online editions. I know I get my online edition or information keeping me up to date as well, so.
Is everybody okay with that then?
Yeah, I'd really just like to make a comment on that. The most valuable thing that I think that I've gotten from PSBA is the Hershey Conference. I'm retired, so I have the time to do this, but boy, I recommend it to anybody on the board who has an opportunity to do this. The opportunity to hear expert speakers in education from around the world, the opportunity to see and hear presentations by sister districts, other districts in Pennsylvania on the things that they're doing, and also their reading lists. They provide lists of books that are really worthwhile reading. What this has done for me is that it really allows a board member who really comes in without the general understanding of the world of education. It allows insight into other districts and allows us to put Pennridge in some perspective. Our strengths, our weaknesses, some of the things that we're doing well, some of the things we could be doing better. So I really recommend this. I know it's a big challenge for people who are working, but boy, if there's any way you can do it, I really recommend that you find a way to get there.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
I have a question about that. It has on here in the letter that it says new more than $800,000 in first and math licenses. So I was just wondering if we can take advantage of that.
Where are you, question?
Second
That-
page,
yeah,
which is the
second
letter
page.
above the signature.
Yeah, in the bulleted points of above the signature.
And we asked Mrs. Schwab. That's what she would be the interested party. Correct.
Yeah, just to look into it, because I believe we use first in math in the schools. So, I mean, if there's a way to save on the licensing.
Absolutely.
They had a presentation there that they had competitions with kids that really, kids were really turned on by. They really had fun with the competitions. And if there's any way we could use some of the value of getting some help with our curriculum, I think it would be a really good idea to check into that.
I'll speak with Dr. Scheid.
All right, any other questions? All right, the final two items are standard approval of bank depositories. Is there any new ones, or are they the same ones?
Same ones.
Okay. And the cooperative purchasing participation, they're all the same, so. Go ahead, Barry.
I have a question and a comment combined. It's come up a few times in our meetings that we've been bidding all these things out now for the past couple of years, and we're not, this is not really on the agenda right here, but maybe this is a close spot. With the new business administrator coming on board, are we going to, you see, continue to try to get bid every little thing? Are we going to start seeing more of a switch to co-stars? Because this seems like, when I look at some of these bid documents, it's amazing. Even that little, instrument mentioned, did you see that thing? The time that goes into picking out one trumpet is unbelievable.
It's another one, as I say, it's another one of those things that we have to, now that we got this bid back this year, we will look at the co-stars, if there's a co-stars bid for some of these things. Some of these things, there are no co-star bids, and we need to determine what's, again, we'll look at them again. It's been a while since we've looked at these. I know last year we did a comparison between some of the regular office supplies and what we were bidding, like And we found that using the catalog discount was actually, would have saved us just as amount of money as doing the bid and the advertising and all that. So that some of those things we took off because we knew we could get a better price. So we did that last year, so we tried to bid those things that, when we bid them last year, we got a better price bidding than we did going with CoStars.
Right, so I know a couple of years ago, like when you first sort of came on the scene here, a lot of things we were just going co-stars, or we weren't really sure. I was kind of new on the board. We were just getting, we weren't bidding everything. But now, for the past couple of years, it seems like we've done a, like a lay of the land. And, I'm not saying we shouldn't try to get the best price, but I'm just wondering if all this effort is worth it. Because it seems lately, the past year or so, we're always going co-stars every chance, they seem to win it. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
For some things.
For some things. So we'll continue to bid, you have to decide based on the items, is that what you're saying?
Right, so like, for example, we cannot do CoStars for metal shop bids. There's no such thing. Same way with lumber. I mean, those things are non-school related type things like lumber, and you have your metal, your sheet metal, and your, those rods to do the welding. That stuff isn't on a CoStar. So those things we would continue to buy. Probably some of the art supply bids, printing services aren't out there. So we probably, of these, there's probably 2 things on here we could consider CoStars next year, but some of these other.
Just on this list.
Just on this list.
So I guess now that you said that, does anyone want to, if it's the CoStar qualifying bid, is that good enough for us, or do we need to keep putting everybody through all this work? Maybe I'm the only one that think, because if you look at some of these documents, and this is the document that comes back, who knows how long it takes to put some of these together. So, and I only brought it up because it's come up a little bit around the edges at a few meetings, like why are we continuing to do all these bids? So if no one's interested, that's fine, but I just think it's something that's come up a few times, so I just wanted to bring it up here at a meeting.
Especially when we see the number of responses are really limited.
I think it's hurting us
2 bids,
sometimes.
whatever, because people are not willing to put the administrative effort into making this stuff happen. And you really wonder what value, if we're really getting out of the whole process.
But we have to remember that there is a bid and quote limit, and if it's over that, we have to do a bid or a quote, and if there's no CoStars vendor, we still have to do a bid or a quote. So again, we've been whittling these down as much as we can, still trying to get the most competitive price and/or value-added services to go with CoStars. So I think it's something we can continue to look at, and over time, it may go back again, that bidding will be a better, I think it's going to depend on the economy and who wants the business. I know one company kept their prices low for 3 years over the, with the economic situation, and as things got better, now they've increased their prices, that now it does not make any sense to use them.
One final thing, if you're a company that's in the piano selling business and you have a chance to sell a piano and no one responds, that just makes me wonder.
There's no substitute for using your judgment. We recognize your experience and skill set, and I think if you, we'll build on that. Thank you. I know, but I mean, collectively, our business agent and administrator, whoever that is.
Okay, I think that's it for finance.
Mr. Charnice? Okay,
Go.
I have another comment or a question. I just went back through all of the agendas from August, and there is no, on any of the agendas, and I looked at some of the board meeting ones, I didn't get through all of those, but there's nothing about the current senior prom, the contract, for how much it is. And what we approved in April was the junior prom for next year. So it wasn't there, and if the prices come out 180 days, I mean, should we be seeing that? It's not on any of the agendas from August on until now.
Isn't that one?
Yeah, you had to change the year.
We had to change the
Wrong
date.
year.
I think that's what it is. We'll have to check.
We'll check, I mean,
It was a junior prom.
I think, first of all, we're only right now approving a deposit, and I'm not even sure how, if we can get the deposit back, but I think we will have subsequent approval of whatever prices we have to, right?
Yeah, but my question was, so you said, yeah, we don't have the prices now, but there'll be a subsequent approval for the prom 180 days in advance. So I'm wondering, where is this year's approval? If this year's senior prom is Friday, June 5th, then it should have been in January or December, and I don't see it on any of the agendas or in the board agendas either. So I'm just wondering, when we do a deposit, when we approve a deposit, if we don't actually see the cost, then I don't know why we're just doing one and not both.
It seems to me the purpose of deposit is good faith money, and I would be surprised if we get that back if we decide to go somewhere else.
It's not your
Well,
money.
I'm not suggesting that we go somewhere else or that this isn't a good place. I'm just saying, I'm just asking, what is the cost and when do we see it?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll find that out before the June 22nd board meeting when we vote on this. We'll get an answer. So I'm just trying to look now and see if I can see anything. But if you check, then we'll follow up.
Right, I mean, I just did it quickly and scanned through, but so if you could find it, that would be great too. Thank you.
Is June 22nd appropriate if this is June 5th, that this is going to happen? Is that the date you think?
That's next year.
Oh, next year, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, Barry, I guess you're on.
You want to do any public comment on you first or not?
Nah, it's easy.
Okay, thank you. First one, I guess, is that going to be Mr. Loeffler? Do you want to go through the transportation bid results in the RFP?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gasper. And to touch on what you were saying, I think this would be bid 23 and 24 that I've written for this, talk about how much time involved in writing bids and RFPs. I think this is the 23rd, 24th bid that I wrote in the last 3 months. So there's a lot of work involved.
Seems like.
So if you look at the first bid on the stage curtains, it was RFP 16-16. We opened bids on May 12th. We sent out 7 proposals, received 2 back. And I'd like to recommend Nickerson Drapery for Grass Elementary School for $6,350. And recommend Landis Decorating from Quakertown on the Penn Central Middle School for $9,000.
Can I ask how old these are, Jeff, just as curiosity?
They are both original. They're bad. Yeah. Very old, I don't
For
know.
Penn Central, it would be
Penn Central.
September of 1998.
Okay, thank you. If we want to move on to the trash recycling,
Can I ask you first, Mr. Loeffler, with the, I assume there was no issue with specifications on either of these bids in terms of meeting whatever it was that was in the bid?
well, there was material thickness, there was fireproofing, a couple items like that.
But the bidders both met that.
Correct, yes. The second one is trash and recycling, RFP 16-17. If you remember last month, we rejected the joint bid that I was out with the other school districts. And bids came back very favorable for Pennridge. I'd like to recommend Bulgario for a 3-year term of $108,234.36. By rejecting that bid, it looks like we're going to save about $12,900 by rebidding it. And also, if you look at the yearly 2015-16 of $36,078 price, it's actually even lower than I'm paying them now. I'm at a $38,900 per year right now. So not only was the rebid to save almost $13,000, but we also saved a couple $1,000 to our present bid. So this bids came out very favorable. Any questions? The last bit is really transportation, and Kathy, you may know a little more about it than I do.
The fuel management system, this is the system that we use for at the pump where the bus driver goes up, puts in his number, and it tells us how much fuel a particular bus is taking. And it was time for that software to be replaced. It was old, it was no longer functioning, and we were kind of holding our fingers to make sure that it's going to get us through the end of the school year. So we did send out bids. We sent out 4, and we did receive two back. Pine Run Construction is the company like we like to recommend. Mr. Duke did say that he had worked with this company in the past, so we're comfortable with recommending Pine Run for $31,100.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. Thank you. All right, the second item is obsolete items for review, A through F. It's broken down by different departments: nutritional service, Booth, Ibler, North, Bedminster, and the tech department. Does anyone have any issues with any of the items that we're going to get rid of? So once again, some scrap, some public surplus. So these will appear on either, these will stay on the 22nd meeting. It won't be a special, okay, so. if this-
Why do we have things new in the box that were obsolete?
These are things that when we went through the All District Support Center, that a previous director had purchased, we knew we weren't using them, so I would think at some point we're soon going to be out of things to surplus or scrap because we've gotten rid of so much over the last 2 to 3 years.
Are we going to find any more of those things, you think? Or are we all cleaned out by now? I mean, over there, they should be gone.
I don't know if they've unwrapped all the skids that they brought back from storage. I mean, we tried to surplus as much as we could before we left over there. But I do think some things may have gotten on skids, and as she's unpacking, she's finding things still that.
Okay. It's always like one of those questions that people go crazy over, so hopefully
Hopefully
that's coming
to the end soon.
I have to ask a question. I mean, one thing that's obsolete are yellow sponges. And we can't use those anywhere?
Apparently, there may be a reason. I can ask Mrs. G why she's not using those types of sponges, but it could be very well that those sponges
Maybe they're disintegrated.
they're not what's the word I want to say? Inhaled sponges after they sit around for some time, they don't work as well. Or it's very possible that certain sponges can carry bacteria.
We did have a leaky roof.
So I can ask her about the sponges, but she's pretty good about getting rid of things that she can't keep. I mean, if she can use it, she does. If she has no use for them, she tries to get rid of them.
Maybe we should order the use of sponges. No.
I mean, even somewhere else, just for cleaning up anything?
And these lists are made available to everyone to look at. So, I mean, I know schools do look at them, they come back and have asked for things to be removed, and we have given them to them. So we can bring it to the principal's attention if there's some need or some use.
So where are we going to leave that? We're going to look into the sponges, or they're going out the door? We should. I mean, it came up, so,
Boy, it's about
at least, try to, don't spend too much time on it. I hope, just try to find out.
Sponges.
All right, anything else before we go to the third item? All right, thanks. The last item